The stars above the battlefield were cold and silent, but the ground shook with fire and war. Queen Talara stood at the edge of her command platform, watching the distant explosions on the desert moon of Zareth Prime. Her violet eyes narrowed, her jaw clenched. She was not used to losing. Her empire, the mighty Virulan Dominion, had ruled this part of the galaxy for 1,000 years. But now her enemies had returned from the dark. The Morn, no one knew where they came from. Had ever captured one alive? They were shadows wrapped in metal, silent destroyers that tore through planets and left nothing behind. Their ships were black as void, and their weapons burned through shields like paper. For the first time in her long life, Queen Talara was afraid. "Your Majesty," said General Corrin, bowing deeply, "the Earth Federation forces have arrived in orbit." Talara sighed. "Humans," she said, with clear disappointment. "Primitive creatures with loud voices and short tempers." Corrin hesitated. They sent one of their best teams. "The unit is called Echo 7. Their leader is a soldier named Sergeant Cole Marston." The Queen turned away, her silver cape flowing. Behind her, "Send him down. Let us see what the humans think they can do in a real war." The shuttle landed in the main courtyard of the Royal Command Base. Alien officers, tall and elegant in shining armor, stood in formation. And then the humans stepped out. They were smaller than the Virulans, wearing bulky armor that looked old-fashioned to Talara. Their helmets were scratched, their weapons mismatched, yet they walked with calm confidence. No fear, no hesitation. Sergeant Cole Marston stepped forward and removed his helmet. He was young, maybe 30 Earth years. His hair was dark, his eyes steady and sharp. There was a scar over one eyebrow, but it didn't make him look broken. It made him look like someone who'd survived things others couldn't. He walked up to the Queen and saluted. "Sergeant Cole Marston, Earth Federation, reporting for duty, ma'am." Talara studied him without blinking. "You are the one they call a hero on your world." He shrugged. "Not a hero, just a soldier." The Queen raised an eyebrow. "We shall see." That night, the Queen summoned her advisors. Around a glowing table, holograms showed enemy movements. "The Morn are moving toward the city of Velfor," Corrin said. "If they take it, they'll gain control of the planetary defense grid." The Queen looked at her general's suggestions. One commander said, "We should retreat. Save what we can. Fortify the next sector." Another said, "We launch a full strike. All ships, all soldiers." Then Sergeant Cole spoke. "Give me a map of the city," he said. The Queen frowned. "Are not here to make plans, human." But he ignored her. The hologram zoomed into the city. "There's a narrow canyon here," Cole said, pointing. "If we blow the bridge, we can trap their front line and cut them in two." The Queen looked. "At him? You want to fight them? In close quarters?" He nodded. "Yes, ma'am. My team works better that way. You give us support from above. We hold the choke point." The alien generals laughed. A handful of humans against an army of Morn. One said, "You won't survive the hour." Another added. Cole simply said, "We'll hold the line," and he did not smile. At dawn, the attack began. Velthar burned, the sky filled with black Morn ships that rained fire on the ground. Civilians fled underground tunnels. Screams echoed through the city as buildings collapsed. But at the canyon pass, Cole and Echo 7 were waiting. They had set explosives on the bridge. They had dug trenches and placed auto turrets. They wore heavy armor and carried enough ammo for hours of battle, and then the morn came. Black machines marched forward. They had no voices, no faces, just red eyes glowing behind armored masks. Their weapons cut through walls and metal with ease. "Hold," Cole shouted. The first wave hit hard. The turret exploded. One of Cole's soldiers was thrown back by a blast, but they didn't run. They fought harder, shot after shot, grenade after grenade. When the Morn tried to cross the bridge, Cole gave the signal now. The charges blew. The bridge collapsed, taking dozens of enemy units with it. Cheers erupted from the humans. But it wasn't over. From the side cliffs, more Morn appeared. They had adapted. Cole looked at his team. Back to fallback point. Let's go. Even as the Morn advanced, the humans kept fighting. They moved fast, covered each other, and stayed calm. From above, Virulent drones watched everything. And in the Queen's command center she watched, too. She saw Cole throw himself in front of a wounded soldier to drag him to safety. She saw him take a hit to his arm and still keep firing. She saw him run into enemy fire to rescue 2 alien civilians trapped in a burning building, and for the first time, she said nothing. Hours later, when the fighting ended, Velthar was still. Standing, Echo 7 was bloodied, but alive. The Morn had pulled back victory. Cole limped into the command base, his armor scorched, his arms shaking. But he saluted again when he saw the Queen. "We held the line, ma'am," he said. Queen Talara stared at him. This ... human, this fragile creature from a lesser planet. He had faced death without blinking. It saved her people without question. "Why did you not retreat?" she asked softly. Cole wiped sweat from his forehead. "Because if we ran, they'd take everything. I couldn't let that happen. Not." Today, she opened her mouth to speak, but no words came. For the first time in her life, Queen Talara was speechless. Smoke still drifted over the ruined city of Velthar. The battle had ended, but the scars remained. Buildings were half destroyed, streets were cracked, and burned-out machines from both sides littered the ground. The wounded were being carried. 2 med bays. The dead were being counted, but the line had held. Inside the Royal Command Base, the atmosphere had changed. Where once the Virulents had looked at the humans with cold eyes, now they nodded respectfully as they passed. And at the center of it all was Sergeant Cole Marston. He sat on a bench outside the medical wing, wrapping his left arm in a clean bandage. His armor was gone, melted from the heat of plasma blasts. His face was tired, but his eyes were still sharp. "Sir," said Private Elira, one of the younger Virulon soldiers as she approached, "you saved my life yesterday. I just wanted to say thank you." Cole looked up. He smiled faintly. "I don't fight for thanks. I fight to keep people alive." Elira nodded, her hands behind her back. "Still, I owe you everything." Before Cole could respond, a message arrived on his comm. "Sergeant Cole," said a voice, "report to the Queen's War Chamber. Immediately." The War Chamber was large, shaped like a circle. High-ranking Virulent commanders stood around a glowing 3D map of the planet Zareth Prime. Queen Talara stood at the front, her silver armor reflecting the soft blue light. She turned as Cole entered. "Sergeant," she said, "you arrive wounded, yet on time. That is rare among my officers." "I aim to please," Cole replied simply. There was a faint twitch at the corner of the Queen's lips, almost a smile. General Corrin pointed to a flashing red dot on the map. "We've discovered that the Morn are focusing their attention on a location deep in the desert, a ruined fortress known as Anchor's Hold." Talara continued, "That fortress houses a virulent artifact called the Heartstone. It contains ancient energy.
Howdy, Morn.
Could corrupt and use to destroy entire cities in a blink." Another commander added, "If they take it, they will win this war." Cole leaned closer to the map. "And we can't let them take it." The Queen nodded. "Exactly. That is why I'm sending my strongest warriors and you." Cole raised an eyebrow. "You want humans to lead the charge?" "I want you to hold the fortress, Sergeant, just like you held the canyon at Velthor. It's long enough for us to bring in the heavy fleet from the nearby system." Cole didn't hesitate. "Understood?" Hours later, a fleet of dropships raced across the orange skies of Zareth Prime. Inside one of them, Echo 7 prepared their gear. Alongside them were 30 Virulon soldiers, elite units chosen by the Queen herself.
Among
them was Captain Relox, a tall, cold-eyed warrior who clearly didn't trust humans. He looked at Cole and said, "Try not to get in our way." Cole didn't respond. He just checked his rifle one last time. Anchor's Hold was a dark fortress built into a rocky hill. Once a temple, it was now empty, and silent hits, stone walls cracked from centuries of sandstorms. but it still stood strong, and its defenses still worked. Cole and his team moved in fast. They placed mines, activated defense drones, and set up snipers on the highest walls. He placed his men at key points and handed out orders like he had done it 1,000 times. Even Captain Relox had to admit, quietly, that the human knew what he was doing. But the calm didn't last long. Within an hour, the skies turned black. The morn had arrived. The first wave was swift and brutal. The morn came in hundreds, crawling over rocks and across sand like spiders made of metal and shadow. They fired strange plasma weapons that melted stone. They screamed without sound. They hit hard and they didn't stop. The defenders fought. With all their strength, blasts lit the air. Drones exploded. Varellan and human soldiers fought side by side, using every trick they had. Cole stood on the front wall, barking orders. Push them back. Reinforce the east tower. Medic on the west side. Go now. A virulent warrior fell. Cole ran, grabbed her by the arm, and pulled her behind cover, firing his rifle the whole time. Stay down, he shouted. Captain Relox, watching nearby, frowned. He was beginning to see why this human had the Queen's attention. Hours passed. The waves kept coming, then came the worst of it. A massive Morn war beast, 10 meters tall, stomped toward the fortress. Its body was covered in glowing spikes. It fired heavy cannons from its back. It blew a hole straight through the eastern wall. The Morn swarmed in, fall back. Cole shouted, set explosives in the tunnel. Private Myra, the team's demolition expert, ran forward with charges. She planted them fast, but the Morn were too close. There's no time to escape, she yelled. I'll do it, Cole said. He ran forward, shoving Myra aside and picking up the detonator. Fall back now, he ordered. She hesitated. You go. She ran. Cole turned, watching the Morn pour through the broken wall. He waited, then hit the trigger. The explosion was massive. The tunnel collapsed in fire and stone. Dozens of Morn units were destroyed in the blast. The fortress shook. For a moment, everyone thought Cole was gone, but then he stumbled out of the smoke, coughing and bleeding. But alive, his team pulled him back behind cover, and even Relox helped carry him to safety. Later that night, the fortress stood. The Morn had retreated. The Heartstone was safe, and Cole, though injured, was still awake, still giving orders. Still thinking of the next battle, the virulent soldiers sat quietly around him. Captain Relox finally spoke. I misjudged you. Human Cole looked at him. That makes two of us. I thought you were a stuck-up alien, Lox chuckled. I am. Back on the command ship, Queen Tylara watched the final footage of the battle. She saw the explosion. She saw Cole standing at the mouth of the tunnel, blood running down his face. Defying death, she didn't speak for a long time. Finally, she turned to General Corrin. Have a medical pod prepared, she said. Send a personal message to the Earth Federation. Sergeant Cole Marston is now under Virulon Royal protection. From this moment forward, his safety is our responsibility. Corrin bowed. Yes, Your Majesty. Though she didn't say it aloud, Queen Tylara felt it deep inside her spect. This human had nearly died for her people, and in her heart, something began to change. Sergeant Cole Marsden lay inside a glowing Varellan medical pod. He floated in a golden fluid that healed his wounds faster than anything humans had back on Earth. His eyes were closed, his body still, but his mind was wide awake, replaying. The battle at Anchor's Hold. Outside the pod, 2 Virulon soldiers stood guard. One of them whispered to the other, That's the human who saved the Heartstone. They say he faced a Morn war beast alone. Alone? The other replied. He charged into a collapsing tunnel to stop them. Their voices were low, full of awe. Queen Tylara entered the chamber without a sound. The guard straightened quickly and bowed. She walked slowly to the pod and looked at the man floating inside. This human had done more for her people in a few days than some of her generals had done in years. She touched the glass softly. Wake him, she said. Hours later, Cole stood before the Queen in her private command room. He was still bandaged, his movements slower. But his mind was clear. Taylora dismissed her guards and faced him alone. "You could have returned to your fleet," she said. "You had every reason to leave after the battle." Cole gave a small nod. "I don't leave until the job is done, even if it costs your life. If my death saves 1,000 others, then yes." The Queen looked at him carefully. "I still do not understand you, human. Your people are young, fragile, yet you do not fear death the way others do." Cole crossed his arms. "Maybe because we know how short our lives are, we don't waste them." There was a long silence between them. Then the Queen said, "I want to give you a choice." "A choice?" "Yes. You've done more than we expected. You've earned honor, respect if you wish. I will grant you safe passage back to Earth. You will be remembered in virulent history forever." Cole didn't even think. "No." Taylora blinked. "You refuse?" "There are still people here who need help," Cole said. "Your people and your enemy is my enemy now. I won't leave." The Queen slowly walked around him. "Very well. Then I have a task for you." The next day, Cole and a small squad were flown to a hidden Virulon base, buried beneath a mountain of black stone. The Queen herself gave him the mission. "We recently intercepted a Morn data shard," she explained. "Our engineers tried to access it, but the Morn's code is strange. Alive. We believe it holds critical information about their next attack." Cole listened carefully. "However," Taylora continued, "we now believe the shard is protected by a self-defense mechanism, one that responds to fear. Every Virulon who tried to decode it failed." "And you want me to try?" Cole asked. The Queen nodded. "You are not Virulon. You think differently. You may see something we missed." The facility was quiet, dark, and filled with humming machines. In the center of the room sat the Sharda, floating, black cube with red lines pulsing on its surface. It looked like it was breathing. Cole stepped forward, while the others stayed back. Even the engineers wore protective suits. He didn't wear one. He stared into the cube, the pulsing light reflected in his eyes. "Let's see what you're hiding," he whispered as he touched the surface. Something strange happened. His mind filled with images: fire, war, screaming planets, shattered moons. He felt cold, like space itself was trying to crush him. The Morn didn't speak with words. They spoke with emotion, fear, despair. But Cole didn't flinch. He pushed forward. His own memories rose to meet them, his home on Earth, his training, the battles he'd survived, and the faces of his lost comrades. One face stayed with him: his brother, who had died in the first contact war with the Morn. That memory became a shield. The cube opened. Data poured out. Hours later, Cole sat with the Queen and her top advisors. The decoded data showed the location of a secret Morn shipyard hidden inside a gas giant. If the Morn finished building their new fleet there, the war would be lost. General Corrin said, "We must strike immediately," another commander added. "A direct assault could destroy the facility, but we'd lose thousands." Cole pointed at a small vent tunnel in the shipyard layout. "Send a small team inside. Plant explosives at the core. Get out fast." The room fell silent. Queen Taylora looked at him. "You are volunteering?" He nodded. "Of course you're injured." "I've been worse." The Queen was silent. For a long moment, then she said softly, "You are the bravest fool I've ever met." Cole smiled. "That's the nicest thing you've said to me." The mission began at dawn. Cole, along with 3 Virulon warriors, including Captain Relox, boarded a stealth craft and slipped into the gas giant's atmosphere. Thick clouds made it hard to see, and lightning cracked around them like angry gods. The shipyard floated like a black sea creature, massive and alive, hidden in the storm. They docked silently and slipped into the tunnel. The air inside was cold. It smelled like oil and metal. Strange lights flickered in the walls. They moved fast, placing charges at every major structure. Then something went wrong. The Morn detected them. Alarms blared. Red lights flashed. Doors slammed shut behind them. "We have to go now," Relox shouted. But one of the charges wasn't armed yet. Cole turned back. "I'll do it. Cover me." "We're in," ignoring the sounds of weapons charging around him. Blasts. echoed in the tunnels. He reached the final device, armed it, started back, but a blast hit the ground near him, knocking him down. His cum crackled. "Cole, are you there? I'm here." Still moving. He limped to the exit. A Relox grabbed his arm and pulled him into the escape craft. They launched. Behind them, the shipyard exploded. Back at the Virulon flagship, crew cheered as the enemy facility burned in the clouds. Queen Talara watched from the command deck. Her eyes were wide. She turned to Corin. He did it again. Corin nodded, and he nearly died again. But the Queen said nothing more. Later that night, Cole sat alone in the medical bay, his arm in a sling, his face bruised. A soft knock came at the door. It was the Queen. She stepped inside. No guards. No armor. Just herself. "I came to thank you," she said quietly. "You already did," Cole replied. "Not properly. When I first met you, I thought humans were nothing but short-lived creatures with loud mouths and fragile bodies." He raised an eyebrow. "And now," she looked him in the eyes, "I see a man who faced death 3 times 4. People not his own. I see someone I would trust with my life." There was a long pause. "Why do you keep doing it?" she asked. "Why risk everything over and over?" Cole looked at her for a moment, then he said, "Because if I don't, who will?" Queen Talara didn't respond. She just stared at him, speechless again. But this time, her silence said everything. The Morn were no longer just enemies on the battlefield. They were a shadow creeping into every corner of the galaxy. Entire star systems disappeared without warning. Planets burned. Hope was fading. Queen Talara stood on the observation deck of her flagship, watching the stars outside as if they might offer some answer. Her violet eyes were tired. Her once proud voice now carried the weight of 1,000 losses. Around her, her advisors argued. "Your Majesty," General Corin said, "we must consider surrender. Our fleets are thin. Our soldiers are exhausted." Another council member added, "The Morn's superweapon will destroy Zareth Prime soon. We cannot win." The Queen remained silent. Inside her, a storm raged. Meanwhile, on the medical deck, Sergeant Cole Marston recovered from his injuries. His body was healing fast, but his spirit was restless. He had seen too much death. Too much fear. One evening, a nurse came to his room and said, "There is a gathering in the command hall. They say the Queen will speak." Cole dressed quickly and made his way to the hall. The command hall was packed with soldiers and officers, both Virulon and human. The air was heavy with tension. Queen Talara stepped onto the stage. She looked at the crowd, her people and their allies. "I have always believed in victory," she began. "But now I see the truth. This war may be lost." Gasps echoed. "But I also see something else," she continued. "Something I never understood before." Her gaze swept across the room until it landed on Cole. "This human soldier, Sergeant Cole Marston, shows us what courage truly means." She paused. "In his eyes, I see hope. In his heart, the strength to fight when all seems lost." The hall fell silent. Cole stood, surprised after the speech. Many soldiers approached Cole to shake his hand, thank him, and ask for advice. But some officers looked angry. Captain Relox came forward, his face hard. "This is not just about one soldier," he said. "We need strategy. We need to prepare for the Morn's next attack." Cole nodded. Agreed. But courage and hope can inspire more than strategy alone. Days passed. The Morn's superweapon was moving closer to Zareth Prime. The Queen ordered all able forces to the front line. The atmosphere was grim. Cole trained new recruits, and he's scared and unsure. One young soldier asked him, "Why don't you ever give up?" Cole looked at the young soldier's trembling hands and said, "Because giving up means losing everything. And some things are worth fighting for no matter what." Then came the night the superweapon arrived. The sky lit up with fire. Ground shook with blasts. Cities trembled. Virulon defenses struggled to hold. Queen Talara stood at the command center, issuing orders. But inside she feared this was the end. Suddenly a report came in. "Sergeant Cole Marston has led a team." To disable the super weapon's power core. They are inside now. Tylara's eyes widened. How they're risking everything. Yes, Your Majesty. But their bravery is our last hope. Cole and his team moved through dark tunnels beneath the super weapon. The air was thick with smoke and heat. They faced traps, enemy patrols, and deadly machines. One by one, the team fell injured or captured. Cole pressed on alone. He reached the power core, a glowing orb of crackling energy. His heart pounded. He planted explosives. But an alarm blared. The Morn soldiers swarmed in. Cole fought with every ounce of strength. He knew this might be his last fight. Back at the command center, Queen Tylara held her breath. Seconds felt like hours. Then, the core exploded. The super weapon went dark. The warship shuddered and began to fall apart. Cole lay on the floor, exhausted and wounded, but alive. His team gathered around him, cheering. Queen Tylara, watching through the ship's cameras, whispered, "He did it again. The human soldier stands when all others fall." For the first time, she felt hope bloom inside her. After the destruction of the Morn super weapon, hope stirred among the stars. Yet the war was far from over. The Morn, furious and desperate, gathered their remaining forces for a final assault on the heart of the virulent Dominion's Arith, Prime itself. Queen Tylara stood tall on the bridge of her flagship, her face calm but eyes sharp as ever. Beside her stood Sergeant Cole Marston, still recovering from his wounds, but ready to fight. The once skeptical queen now trusted this human soldier with her life. "This is the moment we stand or fall," Tylara said softly. Cole nodded. "We fight together." The Virulon and Earth Federation fleets assembled in orbit above Zareth Prime, their ships ready for battle. Thousands of vessels formed a massive wall against the incoming Morn armada. As the enemy approached, the air filled with tension and silent prayers. The battle began with a roar. Energy beams sliced through space. Ships exploded in fiery bursts, and the void echoed with the sounds of war. Cole watched the screens closely. Focus on their command ships. If we take those down, the rest will scatter. Amid the chaos, the Queen's flagship was targeted by a deadly Morn warship. Alarms blared as shields weakened. Cole ran to the weapons console. "I'll help hold them off." Together, Cole and the Virulon gunners fought fiercely. The warship fired again and again, but their defense held. The Queen watched the young soldier's determination. "Your bravery saved us once more." As the fleet battle raged, Cole received a transmission from the ground forces. The Morn have deployed. Ground troops on Zareth Prime's surface. They are attacking the capital city. Without hesitation, Cole volunteered for a ground assault team. The Queen agreed. On the surface, the battle was brutal. The city was a maze of crumbled buildings and burning streets. The Morn soldiers moved, like shadows, striking with deadly precision. Cole led his squad through narrow alleys and ruined towers. His voice was calm, giving orders, encouraging his soldiers. They fought through ambushes, saved civilians, and pushed the enemy back step by step, deep inside the city. Cole and his team reached the central command tower of the Morn's last stronghold. They faced overwhelming enemy forces. Cole realized the only way to win was to destroy the tower's energy core. He gave his squad a choice: stay and fight, or follow him to plant explosives. All followed. The climb to the core was dangerous. Traps and guards awaited. Cole fought relentlessly, shielding his team. They reached the core room. Cole set the charges while others defended the entrance. The countdown began. Just as the explosives were about to detonate, a massive Morn commander appeared, blocking their escape. Cole faced him alone. The fight was fierce, blows exchanged with speed and strength beyond anything Cole had faced before. Despite wounds and exhaustion, Cole found an inner strength he did not know he had. With a final push, he knocked the commander down. The charges exploded. The tower collapsed, and the remaining Morn forces scattered. The city was saved. The battle was won. Back on the flagship, Queen Talara watched the news. She smiled, tears in her eyes. She turned to Cole. Your courage has changed the fate of my people. Cole looked at her, humble but proud. You gave me a chance to fight, he said. And you gave us hope. She replied. The war was over. The Virulon Dominion and the Earth Federation formed a new alliance. Queen Talara honored Cole with the highest Virulon award, a medal shaped like a glowing star, as the crowds cheered. She whispered to him, You are more than a soldier. You are a legend. Cole smiled. For the first time, the alien queen was truly speechless, not because she was angry or doubtful, but because she was deeply moved by the bravery of one human soldier.